I just want to talk a little bit today about keeping fancy goldfish outside. I live in the UK, so the temperatures do plummet down and they go minus in the winter period. But I do keep the pond heated. I try and keep the temperature around the 14 to 16 degree mark, but when it gets really cold, I have let it drop down to 10 degrees, but I don't let it go lower than that. I've had them outside for 3 or 4 winters now, and I've never had any issues throughout that period. This pond was built earlier this year from sleepers. It's 3 layers high, so it's about 600 mil or 2 feet high. The previous pond was about 1,000 litres, and I wanted to increase it to about 1,500 litres and move it to a different part of the garden. I started with about 8, but as time's gone on and I've enjoyed keeping them so much and looked into the different varieties, and they're so characterful, these fish. They really are a joy to keep. So it's gradually increased. I think I've got about 25 now. With the vast majority of the fish not growing bigger than 6 inches as well, you don't need a massive pond for them. I mean, 1,500 litres is quite a lot of water to have for these fancy goldfish. But having, especially with the new pond, I mean, I've kept them for quite a number of years in tanks, and you have a lot of water changes. You can have issues with water quality. You've really got to keep on top of it. But with keeping them outside, all I tend to do is top up the water from the evaporation. Um, and I do keep a very close eye on the water quality. And yeah, I mean, I don't have any issues whatsoever. As you can see, it's heavily planted, which again helps with the water quality. But the fish seem to they really enjoy it in there. They love rooting around in all the vegetation. They're extremely healthy, and they're a joy to keep. I do have a Wix 100 litre water butt set up in here with about 80 litres of biological filtration. So there's quite a lot of filtration going on there for the 1,500 litres, and with all the vegetation, the plants, the water quality is kept quite well. And once it's set up and running, and it's to this stage, it really is very easy. You just got to keep an eye on the pump, make sure the water's flowing, it's not clogged up, and it is as easy as that. It's much easier than keeping them in tanks. There is obviously a cost involved in heating the pond over the winter, and I think it was around £100 to £200 a winter it was costing to heat it. So obviously, if you do think about this, you have to bear that cost in mind. I have kept them outside without heating them and just had like an air pump going so it doesn't freeze over. But you can tell by watching them, once that temperature gets below 10 degrees, they're not really that happy. So I would definitely recommend keeping the water temperature above 10 degrees, and they do just fine. These fish are lovely to keep. I mean, they have such characters, and I regularly pick them out of the water. They don't get scared. I can pick one out of the water every day, and he'll still come up to me the following day. They really are a joy to keep, and with you don't need too big a pond. So if you've got a smaller garden, you can get 1,000 litre or 1,500 litre raised pond in the corner, and you can start keeping these guys outside. Just make sure if you do put some of these fancy goldfish outside that you do it at the beginning of the summer when the temperatures are up, so they have the year to settle in, and when the winter does come down the water temperature gradually declines, so they're not put in shock. And try and stick with the hardier versions like the fantails, the orandas, the ranchu. The bubble eyes, definitely stay away from them. They're a bit more vulnerable. The pearl scales, they can be a bit hit and miss as well. They're a bit more vulnerable. So I hope you enjoyed listening. If you've got any questions, just put them in the message section. Thanks.